You were putting the heat on social media companies. Did you make the decisions which posts were most egregious to highlight or flag, or were there other people telling you which posts to go and express concern about?
Congressman, I'll say in general, we were lifting up examples of content that we felt were violating.
When you say we, I just want to know which human beings were involved in deciding, like, this Leonardo DiCaprio meme had to go.
Oh man, I mean, this is going to be fun. This is going to be very fun.
In general, we were discussing specific pieces of content when we were discussing.
Again, I know you guys love pronouns, but we is not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the names of the people.
Congressman, I'm not authorized to.
Well, you wrote an email on April 21st, 2021. We remain concerned that YouTube is funneling people into vaccine hesitancy. This concern is shared at the highest, and I mean highest, levels of the White House. So we'd like to continue a good faith dialogue here. I'm on the hook for reporting out. Who were you on the hook for reporting out to?
Congressman, I can't recall who specifically I was referencing in that document.
Because you kind of just strike me as a functionary. I don't really think you were making these decisions. I think that these people that you say the highest levels of the White, when you say the highest, and I mean the highest levels of the White House, who are you referring to? Without using the word we.
Congressman, I can't recall specifically who I'm referencing.
Saying that.
Are you serious?
Well, when you say are you talking about President Biden?
Congressman, I don't think it should be a surprise that the administration was focused on the issue of presenting authoritative information
by the way,
about the
I
vaccine.
find your testimony terrifying, but incredibly intellectually honest. Because you've come here and you've taken the position, look, you know, in the White House, people are always trying to shape how information is received. They do it with the New York Times, you've seen it on the West Wing, and I think a lot of Americans see a distinction between powerful White House officials trying to shape a news story in the Washington Post and then trying to shape what all of America and the world can see in the digital information space. But you say there's no distinction there, and I think that's honest. It scares the hell out of me, but that seems to be your testimony, right?
Congressman, these platforms are making hundreds of millions of algorithmic editorial decisions a second. And those algorithmic decisions...
I get it. I just don't want the White House participating in them. I get that to have social media companies, there are all these decisions that get made about what content rises and falls. What we have a problem with is when the United States government is putting their thumb on the scale. Now, you said there were no threats and there were no consequences.
Yep.
Was there pressure? Did you put pressure on social media companies?
Congressman, we certainly raised areas where we had questions about their policies or concerns about their enforcement.
Would you categorize that as pressure,
policies.
yes or no?
Congressman, I can't speak to how they interpreted my conversations.
Well, I can because there's an email about it. Nick Clegg sends an email. The title is Andy Slavitt Podcast. And he asks people at Facebook, can someone quickly remind me why we are removing, rather than demoting or labeling, claims that COVID is man-made before May? And the reply to that email is, and I quote, because we were under pressure from the administration. We shouldn't have done it. So were you part of that pressure campaign?
Congressman, again, having not seen the document, I can't speak to who they're referencing or what they're referencing. All I can say is...
Well, Mr. Slavitt, were you a part of that pressure campaign?
I don't believe we were applying any undue pressure on social media companies. I don't think they interpreted it that way.
Well, in writing they have. Mr. Chairman, I seek to enter into the record the email where the people at Facebook are saying, okay, well...
Objection.
Fine, it exists, it's it's out there. And Mr. Slavitt, there's another email which I'm sure the Democrats would object to having considered, where a Facebook employee says, Jutz got off an hour-long call with Andy Slavitt. He was outraged, not too strong a word to describe his reaction, that we did not remove this post, which was the third most highly ranked in the data we sent him. That was a Leonardo DiCaprio meme. That was a joke. Were you guys trying to get jokes removed?
Mr. Congressman, thanks for asking. I'll try to explain, but really briefly. If Facebook, by their own policy, had put something on their website which said 250,000 people are dying every year from the vaccine, that would undoubtedly have violated their policy.
Okay, well, let's go to
So when
true
they-
information. Hold on, let's go to true information then. Because in another Facebook document, they say, quote, the Surgeon General wants us to remove true information about side effects. Mr. Flaherty, should true information be removed?
Congressman, I can't speak to what they're.
Can't even speak to whether or not we should censor the truth because they don't like where it leads. I see I'm out of time. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
My God!
Mr. Speaker, I seek unanimous consent to enter into the congressional record Part 2 of the interim report that I have prepared for the House of Representatives entitled Unwelcome in Niger.
Without objection.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to warn this body of the deteriorating conditions in the African country of Niger and to give rise to the concern of service members and contractors. More than 1,000 of them right now are functionally being held hostage in Niger. They are being used as pawns during a negotiation that has left America at the bended knee of third world criminals and thugs as our troops seek medicine and fresh water and troop rotations. How did we get here with more than 1,100 Americans endangered right now in Niger? Well, it started back in March of 2023. Secretary of State Antony Blinken went to Niger and proclaimed that it was a model of resilience, a platform for great democracy. It would be where America would execute its Africa strategy. 1 year later, almost to the day, there was a coup in Niger. And guess who overthrew the government that we said was the great model of resilience? People we trained. We trained the coup leaders to go throw out the democratically elected government of Niger. And I know this will surprise you, but after that occurs, they say they want our bases that U.S. taxpayers have poured more than $1 billion into gone. They want our service members gone. And so I came to this floor after hearing from some of my constituents who were stationed in Niger, and after the overthrow of the government, there weren't resupply flights. They said, Congressman, we are going to be out of medicine in May if we don't get this sorted out. 3 days after I filed Part 1 of the report that I am supplementing today, the Biden administration announced that we will be leaving Niger. A welcome sign, I'm sure, but the leaving didn't actually happen. We have people who are now more than 200 days into a 180-day rotation, and while the negotiation regarding retrograde and withdrawal are ongoing, the government in Niger is using the well-being and health of our service members as leverage to get what they want out of our government. Our troops aren't getting medicine for malaria, for cholesterol, for their blood pressure, chronic conditions. And I've received the letters from the wives, from the fathers of the people who are in Niger now, and they say, we know that our family members are being extorted by the local governments when they try to leave, hundreds of dollars to even bring a bag through the airport. We know that Russians are behind the wire. You know what a real U.S. president would do? Say that C-130s are on their way to Niger today with the water and the medicine and the food our troops need, that they will have a full fighter pilot escort there. And if the Nigeri government or any other third world thug tries to even turn on their air defense systems, we should show those leaders and those thugs what the target package looks like on their houses and their family members, because it should not be Americans that are suffering because President Biden and Blinken are so embarrassed that their strategy in Africa failed that they're willing to let Americans' conditions deteriorate.
In the ring of the Finland, it been accidental, I never to reach it. We fly in her air and dream so high, a warrior princess rushing for the sky. Her beats enjoy a fearless sound in a world where correct is crowded. With every beat, she technique, a simple prayer in every day. Though she and she breathed free, her spirit unbroken. no chance to turn. In her world, resilient. In the in the ring of the friendland, he been sweet and told I never to reach it. With fright in her air and dreams so high, a warrior princess reaching for the sky. Her beats enjoy a fearless soul in a world made covered in crowded. With every beat she takes lead, a simple of